What's up, what's up? Just the JP the house. So how y'all doing out there? Anyway, I just got finished doing an English lesson. One of my teaching to teach Japanese people to speak English in 4 days. I have one other student doing it. Everyone else who has done it so far said it was pretty easy, and I mean it's really easy, and teach the phonics really simple and stuff. And so today I taught a lady and a guy, and it was so funny because I told them, when I'm teaching for the hour, just listen and I'll answer everything that you need to know. And they were like, oh well, how they say that? They were like, okay. And then during the class they started asking questions. The lady did too, and I'm like, will you just please listen, just listen, you know? She's here, and I'm like, listen, all you're doing is confusing yourself. Okay, I'm showing you a way. All you got to do is just do it the way I'm showing you, and then you'll get it right every time. So she was like, okay. So then they started asking me, then of course they asked some questions again. They started asking me about the verbs and the subjects and this and that. I'm like, listen, you don't need to know what a subject is. All you have to do is look at this and compare these words here. And then if any of these words here are similar to the word that you're using, then that's going to be the subject. This is here, these are the verbs, so you got to use these. And it was funny though. It was really funny, you know, how they were asking all these questions and stuff. So then they were like, well, I don't understand what singular is. And I was like, hey, you know, it's really funny because when I teach this class, it really shows me that a lot of people really do not know what they don't know Japanese language themselves, the grammar in their own language. And it was funny because they were like, well, what about a subject and blah blah this, and I'm like, well, what is a subject? And what did they say? They said he, she, and this. And I said, no. I mean, what is the definition of a subject? And they couldn't tell me. So I said, the definition of a subject is just the hanashikoto, you know, the thing that's being spoken about. Or, you know. And they were like, huh? So I had to explain to them. They're like, oh, okay. And they started laughing. But it was just really funny. And then I told them that wa in a sentence, if they got 99 wa, well, that's going to be the subject indicator, you know. And then but it's funny though, because teaching them reminded me of how these children act, and they act no different. Now it's like, now I'm really cool with the kids, you know. It really don't matter, they can play whatever because eventually they're going to catch on. But after seeing how adults are, it's funny because they wanted me to watch them do one of the problems. So I said, okay. So they went to do the problem. When I told them, I said, the way it's written here, write it exactly the same way. So under each word, you got to write another word, and the word is directly under that one word, and it's not interfering with the space beneath the word that's beside it. The way they were writing, oh my God, it was like they were writing like second graders. It was funny. And I'm like, why are you writing so big? You know, you just write it under this space. And then so I wrote it, and they still didn't understand. So I showed them. I said, look, this is how you write it. Now look at this and look at your paper, which is easier to understand. And they're like, oh, the one that you're holding. I said, yes. The reason you write neat is not so that your paper can be pretty or you can know that you write. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about making it easier for you to comprehend what's going on and stay on track. Because if you don't write neatly, you can get lost, and when you make a mistake, it's going to be hard to find a mistake because you're not going to be able to read what you wrote. And they were laughing and stuff. Oh, that's right, okay. But it was really funny. It was really funny. And then they were like, well, you think we're going to do it? I said, yeah. I said, you could speak English right now. And they're like, no, we can't. I said, I showed you the phonics. I showed you how to practice it. So that's all you got to do. Just do that and you'll do well. And I said, as far as the words and stuff, I mean, to make the be verb sentences, I mean, questions and stuff like that, what I told them was to used a list that I gave them, and it had a whole bunch of nouns and stuff. And it was funny because they couldn't make, it was weird because it was like they couldn't make the connection between the words that I gave them and the words that they want to use. And they were like, well, why are we using these? And I said, well, if you don't use these words, then either one of two things are going to happen. You're not going to be able to think of a sentence to, you're not going to be able to think of a Japanese sentence to, you won't be able to think of a Japanese sentence to translate, and you won't, oh yeah, I can do that. And you won't, and then you're going to be using these nouns like dogs and paper and chairs, and you don't use those words. Use these words. These are words that you're going to use in business and things like that. And they started laughing and stuff. But it was funny. It was really interesting. But the whole thing is weird because you would figure that as adults, even myself as an adult, you would learn how to, you would understand how to, you will understand how to, how can you say that? You will understand how to follow directions, read neatly. Not read neatly, but write neatly. Understand why you're supposed to write neatly. Understand when someone says to listen that you should listen because they're, you know, they have something important to say and things like that. And it was funny because during the lesson, I was like, wow, you guys are just like these elementary school kids I teach. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, I asked you about 5 times already. Stop asking me questions. Just listen. You have question time after. And then they kept thinking too much. I mean, it was really interesting. I'm like, if you listen to what I am saying, watch what I am doing, I'm going to show you everything you need to do, and it's simple. And they just started laughing and stuff, but it was cool. Then afterwards, you know, talked a little bit, you know, about another hour or so, where they were explaining things. And then, whoa, that lady come out of there pretty quick. And then they, and I got paid and that was it. But it was really, really interesting, you know, really, really fun. But anyway, that's it. I'm out. Peace.